Hey, in today's video, we're gonna create our first Eluna script. This script will create or spawn a new monster when you kill a monster. And we can set it in for a certain range. So like 20% each time you kill a monster to spawn the new monster. This could be used on your own custom servers, or something like if you think about Diablo 3, for example, it spawns a treasure goblin. So what you could basically do in WoW is create a script where you kill a monster, and if you are lucky, you spawn a treasure goblin, which would either run from you or even attack you. So let me show you how this looks in action, and then I will head in and create it. So we go over to a monster, and we basically just kill it. So let's real fast kill it here. And you will see here, lucky you hit the jackpot and spawned a magical creature. And you see, we spawned a kobold vermin. So let's get started. First, click on Visual Studio Code and open it. If you don't know how to install Visual Studio Code and set it up for Eluna, follow the video in the description. I already made a guide for it. Next, go up on the file and say open folder. Browse to your World of Warcraft AzerothCore servers directory and select Lua scripts. Click on it once and select folder. You will now see we have our folder, Lua scripts folder, opened here. So let's get started. So first, let's create a new folder for our scripts, our own script to be in. This is just for organization, so it looks much better and is more clean to look at. So let's call this spawn on kill. Again, this is just a name, so it doesn't matter what you call it, just for you, so you know what it's about. Inside here, we actually want to make our script file now. So right click, new file, and write my spawn on kill and .lua, and it opens it. Just a heads up, it doesn't matter what you call this script, just you can't have any spaces in between, but you can name this script file anything you want. Just so everyone knows that. Now let's talk about what we need to do. So we first need to figure out how we can listen for when a player kills an enemy or a creature, a mob or creature. So we know there is a lot of events inside Eluna or AzerothCore. So let's actually open up Eluna's documentation for AzerothCore. Here, we now want to figure out which event to listen for. And if you have seen the other videos, you know I talked about events and explained a bit about them. So let's find them. So to do this, go up, click here, or press S to search, and write register. And now you will see a lot of them. So global : register group event. But we want to listen for something about the player. So global register player events, or event, Click on this, since we want to look for or listen for the player. And now you can already see the events, which is great. And what we want to do is we want to listen to when our own player kills a monster or creature, as it's called here. And we see the ID is 7, and we see what the arguments are. The event, so this event, killer, so that's the player who killed the monster. and killed is the monster that died to the player. So now we know we need this one. Remember the ID 7. So let's minimize here and go in and write it. So what we can do, I honestly prefer this method. Make a new local and call it player event on kill creature and set it to 7, since this is the ID for it. Next, go down, just make a few new lines and register player event. Open up here. And now you can, instead of normally you will write 7 here for the event ID, but now this makes it easier for us to read in code later on. So now we will create player, or we will write player event on kill creature, like you see here. Next up, we want to call our own function when this event happens. So let's call this function on player kill creature, and that's it. So now let's actually make the function on player kill creature, and remember to close it off with an end. So now we have our function, but we need the arguments for the player event on kill creature. So let's head back on the documentation and look for it. So we have our event here. We now need to write event, killer, and killed, and it's important that it's in this order, just so you don't mix them up. So we know event, killer, and killed. Minimize again. Go to your function, write event, killer, and killed. And that's everything we needed to do here to create the function. So let's actually start writing some more code to do something now. This event is called as soon as the monster dies. So if we kill the wolf, this function is called as soon as the wolf's health is 0. So let's get started. Let's say we want to spawn a new monster or a treasure goblin or something at the same coordinates as the monster that just died. Let's do that. So we want to get the killer. So the killer is the player, and we make colon. Now we need to see if there is any function under the player object for spawning a new monster or creature. So let's head to the documentation again. And let's click on Eluna to go back to the home page, so the index. And now let's click on player to check. Or what we can do is we actually can just say spawn, and you see here, that's actually a world object. And since our player is also of a type creature and is a type of a world object, this means that we can actually use these functions. As you can see here, we can spawn a creature. And the way to see if something is of the same type or inherits of unit, as you see here, and inherits of object and world object, is if you click on player, you can see we have the class player and we inherit, meaning that we can get all the functions from these. So that means we inherit all methods from object, world object, and unit. This means if I click on world object, I can write player colon spawn creature. So we want to spawn a creature now. So we click on spawn creature to read more about how to spawn it. And we see we have some different ways to do it. So we can spawn a creature. So we need the ID of the creature, the entry. You can see here the arguments. I'll get to that in a second. And you can see the coordinates of it here and the orientation of it. And so down here you can read about the different types, the different arguments. So the first, it's the number. So it's the ID. We find the ID in the database for the monster. For kobold vermin, it's 6. So we will write that. Number X, that's the X value. U, and yeah, these are basically just the position of the monster we want and where we want to spawn it. So now that we know all this, let's actually head right back into our code. Minimize here, killer. So this is the player. Since the player inherits from the world object, we can write spawn creature. And we can open up here. Now we need the ID of the monster. Just to make this easier on ourselves, and just so we don't need to hard code the value in, we can basically do as we did up here. So create a new local and call this creature. Always start creature ID and set this to, I think it was 6 if I remember correctly. So now we have our creature here, the ID of it, and you write here creature ID. Now we actually want to get the killed. So the monster we just killed, we want to get its position. How we do that is basically doing this killed and colon. And now we go in on the documentation again, and we click Eluna to go back to the index. So back to the home page. And we now know that our killed object or killed monster is a creature. So we click creature. And here you can see it's a non-player controlled units. So example NPCs and stuff. But this also inherits from object, world object, and unit. So let's click on the world object. And you can see down here we can get the position of it, of the monster or the creature, and we can get the orientation of the monster. So let's head back into our script and actually write this. So colon get X, get Y, colon build, get set, the yes, and kill, get O. So this should be everything. Now we can log it, do this, and we will now have all of these. This will say that it doesn't exist because Lua doesn't understand. Oh, my bad. It's functions, so you actually need to log off here. So this is how you call a function. So this is to get the one of the coordinates, and we need to do this everywhere. So all the way. Now we actually already made the spawning of the creature. So the next thing we will do is create, or the next thing we actually gonna do is say color. So this is all player color. Then notification. This is just to send text at the top. So let's say lucky you. You just hit the jack. And that's basically everything. So let's test this out. So save it, and I will see you right back in the game. Now that we have started our server and we are logged into our server, let's head in and try to see if our new events work. So I'm standing right here. Let's try to kill this wolf and see if it works. So what we want to see is that it actually kills the monster here, and we spawn the new vermin. And we should get a notification. And we do! Lucky you, you just hit the jackpot. And for sure, the kobold vermin is right here. So this is the first part of the video. This will be a video split into 3. So first we just created our monster or spawning mechanic. Next time we'll look into making the chance of it for it to spawn. And then after that I will show you how to create your own config files for upcoming projects. So we'll head in, and that is a little more advanced. So don't worry, it will be as beginner friendly as possible. So don't worry about that. But that's all for me today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any ideas for any new videos. See you next time.